The scream tore through the newsroom like a siren in the dead of night, but it was the thud that hit me hardest, wet, final, echoing off the cobblestones below our fifth-floor window in downtown Barcelona. Isabel's coffee mug shattered against the desk as she bolted for the ledge, her face draining white, whispering "No, God, no," like a prayer she'd forgotten the words to. I reached for her arm, but she was already gone, leaning over the edge where Isabel's broken form lay twisted under the sodium lamps, rain pooling around her like spilled ink on the front page we'd never run. That was 3 days ago, and the city hasn't stopped raining since. Barcelona weeps with us, or maybe it's just the jet stream mocking the mess we've become. Isabel, my Isabel, with her hazel eyes that used to crinkle like sun on the med when she laughed, hasn't looked at me the same since. She's been sleeping on the couch in our cramped Gracia apartment, the one we picked for its view of the Sagrada Familia because she said it felt like a miracle we could build something holy here. 2 American expats chasing stories in each other across the Atlantic. Now every spire piercing the clouds reminds me of the fall. I met Isabel 8 years ago at a journalism conference in Austin, Texas, back when we were both chain-smoking freelancers with dreams bigger than our bylines. She was the star of the panel on investigative reporting, her voice like warm bourbon cutting through the room, talking about exposing corruption in small-town politics. I was in the third row, nursing a lukewarm IPA, sketching caricatures of the speakers to stay awake. When she caught my eye during Q&A, me with my notebook doodles of her profile, she winked and that was it. Hook, line, sinker. We ended up in a dive bar off 6th Street, trading war stories until the bartender kicked us out at 2 a.m. Isabel was 27 then, fresh out of Columbia J School, with that effortless New York edge. Chestnut waves she tied back with whatever scarf she had handy, freckles across her nose from too many summers in the Hamptons, and a laugh that could disarm a source faster than a subpoena. Me? Alex Rivera, 24. A scrappy kid from the Bay Area with a UC Berkeley degree in comms, and a chip on my shoulder the size of the Golden Gate. Short auburn crop because long hair got in the way during stakeouts, green eyes that my abuela swore could spot a lie from across a room, and a build honed from weekend hikes in the Marin Headlands. We were fire and gasoline from the start. Passionate debates over ethics in the newsroom, stolen kisses in coat closets, building a life from headlines and heartaches. We moved to Barcelona 2 years in, chasing a dual gig at El Periodico. Spain called to us like a siren song. The tapas bars humming with flamenco, the Ramblas alive with street performers, the sea air that tasted like freedom after the grind of U.S. deadlines. Why stay stateside when we can report on real revolutions? Isabel said, packing our lives into 2 suitcases. I followed because loving her meant leaping, always had. We got married in a civil ceremony at the Ajuntament de Barcelona. Just us and a bilingual officiant. Rings from a jeweler in the Gothic Quarter engraved with Verdad y Amor. Truth and love. It felt unbreakable. Like the Roman walls we'd wander hand in hand at dusk. But Isabel, God Isabel, was the crack we never saw coming. She entered our orbit 6 months ago. A transfer from Madrid's El País, all sharp cheekbones and sharper wit. 30 years old with jet black hair cropped like a pixie warrior and blue eyes that pierced like indictment questions. Spanish-born but Yale-educated, she had that transatlantic polish. Olive skin glowing from rooftop yoga sessions, a lithe frame in tailored blazers that screamed, "I break stories, not hearts." Or so I thought. Isabel and Isabel had history, buried deep under layers of just colleagues, and ancient history. They'd been lovers back in New York, overlapping J-school circles. A whirlwind affair that ended when Isabel ghosted for a fellowship in Seville. Isabel called it youthful folly, waved it off over paella one night when I pressed. It was before you, Alex. Water under the Puente de Triana. I believed her because I wanted to, because her hand on mine under the table felt like absolution. Now with Isabel's suicide splashed across every front page. Prominent journalist leaps to death amid corruption probe. The water's risen to flood levels. The cops ruled it self-inflicted, no note, just her phone clutched in her hand with Isabel's number as the last call. 15 minutes of voicemails we haven't listened to yet. Sitting like a grenade on our kitchen counter. The newsroom's a ghost town. Editors murmur about burnout, the pressure of exposing a ring of Catalan politicians siphoning EU funds. But I know better. Isabel didn't jump because of deadlines. She jumped because love, twisted and unrequited, can pull you under faster than any scandal. Tonight, as thunder rattles the terracotta roof, Isabel finally speaks the words I've dreaded. We're in the living room, the air thick with the scent of damp wool and unspoken grief. She's curled on the couch in my old Stanford hoodie, knees to chest, looking smaller than the woman who once charmed a mayor into spilling embezzlement secrets over sangria. I sit across from her on the ottoman, nursing a glass of Rioja that's gone warm. "Alex," she says, voice cracking like thin ice, "I can't do this anymore." My heart stutters, but I keep my face steady. Reporter's trick: compartmentalize the quake. Do what? Mourn? Eat? Breathe. I try for levity, but it lands flat, a stone in the puddle. She shakes her head, tears carving tracks down her cheeks. Us. This marriage. Is poison now. Isabel's gone, and all I see when I look at you is her shadow between us. The room tilts. Poisoned? After everything, the late nights fact-checking each other's pieces, the way she'd trace my tattoos with her fingertips after lovemaking, whispering how they told our story better than any article. I set the glass down, hands trembling. Isabel, she's been gone 3 days. We haven't even buried her yet. This is shock grief talking. Not. It's not just grief, she snaps, unfolding like a storm breaking. Her eyes blaze, hazel turning to firelight. It's everything I buried to be with you. Isabel wasn't ancient history. She was my first real love, the one who taught me what it meant to want someone so bad it hurt. And when she came back, here in Barcelona, I thought I'd moved on. But every interview, every coffee run, it chipped away. I loved her still, Alex. Quietly. And now she's dead because I couldn't say it. Betrayal blooms hot in my chest. Not rage, but a deep, aching sorrow. I knew there were glances, lingering hugs at the office holiday party, but I chalked it up to old friend vibes. You cheated. The word tastes like ash. No, she whispers, fierce. Not physically, but emotionally. Yes. I betrayed you every time I dreamed of what ifs, and now with her blood on the streets below our work, our life, how can I stay? You'd hate me eventually, seeing her ghost in my eyes. I stand, pacing to the window where the city lights smear like watercolor regret. Barcelona at night. The magic fountain's colors pulsing faintly through the downpour. Couples huddled under umbrellas on Passeig de Gracia, oblivious to the fractures in apartments like ours. I don't hate you, I say softly, turning back. I hate that you didn't trust me enough to fight for us. We could have talked, gone to therapy, hell, even called a mediator like those couples in the self-help books you hoard. She laughs, bitter and broken. Therapy? In Spain? With the siestas and the bureaucracy? No, Alex. This is real life, not a TED Talk. We fall silent, the rain our only witness. Outside, a street vendor calls out for churros, his voice a lifeline in the deluge. I want to cross the room, pull her into my arms, remind her of the vows we whispered in broken Catalan and English. But the space between us feels like the gorge Isabel crossed in her final leap. Vast, unforgiving. That night sleep evades me. I lie in our bed alone, the sheets cold where her warmth used to pool. Memories flood. Our first fight over a story I botched on Basque separatism. How she yelled then kissed me harder, saying we fight because we care. The weekend in Andalusia, driving a rented Fiat through olive groves, stopping at roadside shrines to light candles for lost sources. Her hand on my thigh as we watched sunsets over the Sierra Nevada, promising forever in the language of lovers, not journalists. By dawn, the apartment smells of strong coffee. Isabel's ritual, brewing it black as midnight on the Mediterranean. She's at the kitchen table, scrolling through condolence messages on her phone, her face a mask of exhaustion. I join her, pouring a cup, our fingers brushing accidentally. Electricity sparks, familiar and foreign. We need to talk about the divorce, she says, not looking up. Practical Isabel, always the one to outline the beats. My throat tightens. Just like that? No counseling. No let's try. She meets my gaze then, and it's a gut punch. The love's still there, tangled in the pain. I love you, Alex. God, I do. But staying would be the real betrayal. To both of us. The day unravels in a blur. Paperwork downloaded from the U.S. Embassy site for expat dissolutions. Calls to a lawyer friend in Izample who owes me a favor from a profile I wrote on his firm. Isabel insists on handling the apartment lease. Her name's on it, a holdover from when I was still visa hopping. I nod, numb, packing a duffel with essentials. Laptop, notebook, the photo of us at La Boqueria Market, grinning over Jamon's slices. Afternoon finds us at the newsroom, the air heavy with whispers and wilted lilies from Isabel's desk. Colleagues avoid our eyes, the elephant, or rather the fallen body, in the room. I sift through her files, hunting for clues to the probe that broke her. Notes on shell companies, bribes funneled through vineyards in Priorat. Solid leads, the kind that could have made her career. Or ended it. Isabel hovers nearby, her presence a gravitational pull. Find anything? She asks, voice low. A smoking gun, I murmur, holding up a thumb drive labeled Triunfo files. Politicians in bed with developers. Isabel was close, too close. Her fingers graze mine as she takes it. She called me that night. Left messages about finishing the story but sounding lost. I should have gone to her. Guilt mirrors in her eyes and mine. We were both complicit in our silences. As the sun dips, casting long shadows across the bullpen, I pull her into the stairwell, away from prying ears. Isabel, I say, cupping her face, thumbs brushing her tears. Before we sign anything, promise me one thing. No more hiding. If this is goodbye, let's make it honest. She nods, leaning into my touch, her breath hitching. I promise. And Alex, thank you for loving me through the mess. Our lips meet, soft and sorrowful, a punctuation on what was. Not passion but farewell. A kiss tasting of salt and second chances lost. The weeks that follow are a slow hemorrhage, Barcelona's autumn chill seeping into my bones like the regret I can't shake. I crash at my editor's spare room in Poblenou, a converted warehouse loft with exposed brick, and a view of the beach that mocks my solitude. Waves crash eternal, indifferent to the wreckage on shore. Work becomes my anchor. I take the Triunfo story, flesh it out with Isabel's notes, turning her final obsession into a series that hits like a front-page indictment. The Grapes of Wrath, corruption in Catalonia's vineyards, they call it. Isabel co-signs the byline, professional courtesy or lingering loyalty. I don't ask. Nights are the worst. I prowl the bar Selenita, nursing absinthe shots amid the glow of fairy lights strung over zinc counters. Expats huddle in corners, swapping tales of visas and vanished dreams, their laughter a foreign tongue. One evening, a woman with a Texas drawl slides onto the stool beside me, blonde, broad-shouldered, a photographer named Riley who'd shot my Basque piece last spring. Heard about the rooftop, she says, clinking her glass to mine. Rough. You holding? I shrug, the green fairies bite, loosening my tongue. Holding what? The bag? The blame. We talk until closing, her divorce from a Madrid banker, my unraveling marriage, and for a moment, her hand on my arm feels like possibility. But when she leans in, I pull back. Not yet, I whisper. Wounds are still raw. Riley nods, wise beyond her 28 years. Fair. But don't let grief build a wall, Alex. Life's too short, Isabel proved that. Her words linger as I stumble home through the drizzle, the gaudy lamps on Passaic de Picasso flickering like faulty memories. Back in the loft, I finally plug in the thumb drive's remnants. Isabel's voicemails crackling to life on my laptop. Isabel's number blinks first. Isabel, it's me. Call back. Whatever it is, we can fix it. Then Isabel's voice, husky from chain-smoking Gauloise. Belle, I saw the proofs. They're coming for me. Tell Alex. Tell her I'm sorry for the shadows. And you, God, I never stopped. If this is goodbye, know I jumped for the truth, not the fall. Tears blur the screen. Shadows. She'd known about the fracture, seen it in Isabel's hesitations, my guarded smiles. No wonder the guilt gnawed deeper. I transcribe it all, add it to the dossier, but the personal cut's hardest. Isabel wasn't just a rival. She was a mirror, reflecting the parts of Isabel I'd never fully claimed. A week later, the series drops. Protests erupt outside the parliament. Farmers from the Peneds marching with pitchforks and placards. Verdit para las Venas. Isabel and I cover it together. A fragile truce in the fray. She's thinner now, cheekbones sharper under the freckles. Her waves pulled into a severe ponytail that speaks of sleepless strategy sessions. We dodge tear gas canisters, her hand finding mine instinctively amid the chaos. Old habit hard to break. Behind you, she yells as a rioter shoves through the crowd. I spin, camera flashing, but it's her body shielding mine that steals the breath. We tumble against a barricade, hearts hammering in sync, the acrid smoke a veil for our shared adrenaline. Later, over Candestraya in a safe-house cafe off Via Layetana, the dam breaks. I listen to the messages. I confess, peeling the label from my bottle. She knew, Isabel. About us cracking. Her fork pauses mid-air. Calamari dangling forgotten. And she apologized. To both of us. I slide my phone across, the audio cued. She listens, face crumpling as thunder rumbles distant over Montjuic. Why didn't I go to her? She chokes out, slamming the phone down. One call, Alex. One and maybe. Stop. I cover her hand with mine, the touch electric, grounding. You can't rewrite the lead. She chose her ending. We choose ours. Eyes locked, something shifts. A spark amid the embers. Not reconciliation, not yet, but acknowledgement. The betrayal's scar tissue forms, tender but intact. We part with a hug that lingers, her scent of lavender and newsprint wrapping me like a bygone blanket. The divorce proceedings drag like a poorly sourced feature. Endless emails with the embassy. Asset splits over Zoom with the notary in L'Hospitalet. Isabel keeps the apartment. I opt for the loft, citing work proximity. Really, it's the ghosts. Hers in our bed, Isabel's in the stairwell shadows. But Barcelona conspires to knit us closer. A tip on a related scandal lands in my inbox. Developers bribing inspectors for coastal builds. And it traces back to Isabel's old beat. We meet at our old haunt, La Paradetta in Elborn. Shelling shrimp over butcher paper. Plotting angles like co-conspirators. You're good at this, I say, sucking butter from my fingers. The partnership thing. She smiles, faint but genuine, the first in weeks. We always were. Even when it hurt. That night, as we walk the waterfront, the W Hotel's sail silhouette glowing against the stars, she stops under a palm. Alex, about the papers. I signed. But I added a clause. 6 months. We try counseling. No promises, but no rushing the grave either. My pulse quickens, hope a fragile bloom. Why now? Because Isabel's truth was in the story unfinished. Ours doesn't have to be. Her lips brush my cheek, chased a question mark. I nod, pulling her close. The sea whispers approval, waves lapping like tentative steps. But peace is fleeting. 2 days later, a package arrives at the newsroom, unmarked, addressed to Isabel, care of me. Inside, a leather-bound journal, Isabel's handwriting scrawled across the cover. For the one who got away. Pages thick with entries spanning years. Odes to Isabel's laugh in a Greenwich Village cafe. Regrets from Seville nights alone. Sketches of a life unlived. The last entry dated the day she jumped. Belle, if you read this, know I let go not for defeat, but to free you. Love her fiercely, the one who stayed. Alex deserves the light I dimmed. Devastation crashes anew. I deliver it to Isabel that evening, our date, at a quiet vermuteria in St. Anthony. She reads in silence, pages trembling until a sob escapes. She knew, she gasps. All along, she saw us clearer than I did. We cry together, raw and unfiltered, the vermouth forgotten. In that vulnerability, confession spills. Her emotional affair, the late-night text disguised as source checks, the ache of divided heart. I admit my jealousies, the way I'd linger at the office to bump into them, the insecurities from my own fractured family back in Oakland. Forgive me, she pleads, hands clasped like prayer. Only if you forgive yourself, I reply. And in that exchange the conflict crests, not in screams, but in the quiet forging of understanding. As we leave arm in arm through the market's bustle, a street musician strums Bésame Mucho, the notes weaving through the evening air. Barcelona, ever the romantic, seems to hold its breath. Winter grips the city like a reluctant editor. Gray skies over the example grid lines mirroring the fog in my head. Counseling starts in a nondescript office near Placa Catalunya, with Dr. Elena, a no-nonsense Catalan with silver-streaked hair and eyes that miss nothing. This is not about blame, she says in accented English, her space a sanctuary of succulence and soft lamplight. It's about narrative. Rewrite yours together. Our first session is a minefield. Isabel recounts the affair's genesis. A chance reunion at a press junket in Bilbao, Isabel's blue eyes locking on hers across a crowded hall. It was like unfinished copy. she says, twisting her ringless finger. Pulling me back in. I bristle, the betrayal's echo sharp. And me? The footnote. Dr. Elena interjects, voice steady. Alex, your anger is valid. But hear her story, not the headline. Isabel reaches for my hand, and I let her. Layers peel. Her fear of vulnerability post Isabel's original ghosting. How marrying me was her anchor. Yet the past's undertow dragged. I share my side, the immigrant unease in Spain, feeling like the replacement American in her orbit. I built walls, I admit. Thinking love was a scoop you chase, not a home you tend. Homework. Daily truth journals. No holds barred. Mine fills with rants about Isabel's shadow. Sketches of Isabel's profile morphing from joy to sorrow. Hers, I learn later, brims with gratitude lists. My coffee runs during her deadlines. The way I hum old Joan Baez's tunes to soothe her migraines. Progress is incremental, like fact-checking a sprawling exposé. We resume tentative dates. Picnics in Park Güell. Gaudí's mosaics, a kaleidoscope for rebuilding. One afternoon, amid the dragon's serpentine bench, she unpacks the journal fully. Isabel wrote of you too, she says, voice soft as the pine-scented breeze. Called you the steady flame. Said I was lucky. Warmth blooms, thawing the frost. She wasn't wrong. But conflict simmers beneath. The triunfo fallout escalates. Arrests ripple through the regional government. Threats scrawled on our building's walls. Periodistas traidors. Isabel's anxiety spikes. She paces her apartment, jumping at shadows. One night, after a brick crashes through the newsroom window with a note reading, "Next is the rooftop," she calls me at midnight, voice quavering. Come over, she begs. I can't be alone. I arrive to find her barricaded in the living room, candles flickering against the storm outside. We huddle on the couch, her head on my shoulder, the familiar curve of her fitting like a missing paragraph. What if it's not over? She whispers. The story, the danger, us? I stroke her hair, the waves silkier than memory. Then we report it together. Like always. In the quiet, bodies close but chaste, memory stirs, not lust, but the deep resonance of souls attuned. She tilts her face up, eyes searching. I miss this. Us. Me too. Our foreheads touch, breaths mingling, a bridge over the chasm. Dawn brings clarity and action. We pitch a follow-up series. After the fall, surviving journalistic peril. It incorporates Isabel's untold angles, her voice woven into ours. A posthumous collaboration. Colleagues rally. Riley offers photos from the protests, her Texas grit a bomb. Y'all are tougher than Longhorn leather, she drawls, clapping my back. As spring teases with almond blossoms along the Llobregat, our sessions evolve. Dr. Elena introduces empathy exercises, role-playing each other's pains. I become Isabel, voicing the terror of losing a first love to silence. She embodies me, articulating the sting of sideline trust. Its cathartic, tears flowing freer than the Taha in flood. Yet climax brews in the unlikeliest storm. A source from the probe, a jaded inspector with a conscience, tips us to a safe house in the Raval, where ringleaders plot retaliation. We go together, hearts pounding like bygone stakeouts, Isabel's hand in mine a talisman. The meet's in a dimly lit taberna, air thick with cigar smoke and suspicion. The inspector, grizzled and gold-toothed, slides a dossier across the scarred table. This ends it, he growls. Names, dates, enough for indictments. But as we rise to leave, chaos erupts. Two thugs burst in, faces masked, knives glinting. Traitors! One snarls, lunging. Time fractures. Isabel shoves me aside, her cry piercing as the blade grazes her arm. A shallow red line blooming through her blouse. Rage ignites. I grab a chair, swinging wild, connecting with a crack that sends one sprawling. The other hesitates. The inspector tackles him. A brawl of grunts and overturned tables. Sirens wail distant. The cavalry summoned by a bartender's frantic call. We bolt into the alley, Isabel clutching her wound. Blood warm on my sleeve as I tear my shirt for a tourniquet. You're okay, I murmur, binding it tight. I've got you. She winces, but her eyes shine fierce. We got each other. Cops swarm, arrests made. The dossier seals fates. Back at the fluorescent hell of beeps and bleach. Stitches close her flesh, but it's our words that mend deeper. I almost lost you again, I say, holding her bandaged hand. Not tonight, she replies, squeezing. And not to ghosts. Discharge brings us to the loft, my temporary haven turned sanctuary. We collapse on the bed, exhaustion a shared blanket, her head on my chest rising with my breaths. No urgency, just presence, the humanistic core of love, resilient as Catalonia's ancient stones. On stage, accepting for the team, Isabel speaks. This is for the voices silenced by fear, by falls, by forgotten truths. Journalism isn't just words. It's witness. Her gaze finds me in the crowd, a beacon amid the applause, and my chest swells with pride untarnished. Post-ceremony, we slip away to a rooftop bar in the Gothic Quarter, fairy lights twinkling like errant stars. Vermouth flows, loosening tongues. Remember Austin? I ask, clinking glasses. That dive bar, your panel rant on ethics? She laughs, the sound rich as Rioja. How could I forget? You doodled me as a superhero, cape made of headlines. Still are. I lean in, our knees brushing under the bistro table. The city's hum below. Laughter from patios, guitar strums from buskers. Feels like underscore to our score. But romance's return isn't seamless. Lingering doubts surface in quiet moments. A nightmare where she chooses the shadow, waking me with her thrashing. It was her falling, she gasps, sweat slick. I hold her then, murmuring affirmations until dawn paints the curtains rose. Counseling deepens. Dr. Elena challenges us to future casting. We envision 5 years hence. A byline duo in DC, perhaps, or freelancing from a villa in the Costa Brava. Kids. Adoption whispers, a family forged from choice. Humanity's in the connections we nurture, she says. Not the bloodlines. Inspired, we volunteer at a queer youth center in the Example, mentoring aspiring journalists from immigrant families. Teens with stories like ours, hidden loves, cultural clashes, gather in a circle of folding chairs, sharing drafts on coming out in conservative homes. Isabel facilitates, her empathy a lighthouse. I handle tech, teaching them to fact-check with apps I jury-rigged in Berkeley. One girl, Sophia, 17, with defiant purple streaks and a stutter that fades when she reads her piece on parental rejection, reminds me of young Isabel. After, as we pack away notebooks, Sophia hugs us both. You too? Goals. Real love like in the movies but better, messy and true. Isabel's eyes mist, mine prickle. On the walk home, arms linked, she says. That's us. Messy but true. Yet betrayal's ghost stirs once more. In a letter from Isabel's sister, forwarded from Madrid. Elena, a soft-spoken librarian with Isabel's blue eyes, thanks us for the series. It honored her fire. Enclosed. A locket, silver filigree containing a tiny photo of Isabel and Isabel, young and radiant at a Yale mixer. She wanted you to have this, Elena writes. A piece of the past to carry forward. Isabel opens it at our kitchen table. Hers again, mine by invitation, fingers trembling. The image stares back. Carefree, unscarred. This was before the hurt, she murmurs. I swallow jealousy, forged now to alloy. And now? We're the story unfolding. She clasps it around her neck, the chain cool against her collarbone. Yes. With you. Climax crests not in violence, but vulnerability's gale. A heat wave traps us indoors, AC sputtering like failed leads. We argue, foolish, over a misplaced draft on climate refugees, but it unearths roots. My fear of abandonment, echoing my father's flight when I was 10. Her terror of passion's price, scarred by Isabel's voids. Words fly like shrapnel. You always choose the drama. I accuse. And you the safety net, she retorts. We storm to opposite rooms, doors slamming like period stops. Hours tick. Pride wars with pain. Finally, I knock on the bedroom door, tray in hand. Gazpacho, chilled and conciliatory, her favorite. Truce. I offer. She opens, hair tousled, eyes red-rimmed. Always. We talk till midnight, sprawled on the rug amid scattered pillows, the locket glinting like a truce flag. Confessions cascade. Dreams deferred, apologies unvoiced. I betrayed us by not believing in the now, she says. And I by not trusting the forever, I reply. In the hush we rebuild. Promises etched not in rings but resolve. Laughter returns, tentative then torrent, as we recall botched paellas and midnight swims in the Bessos. Autumn hints with cooler breezes off the Calcerola hills. We hiked there one golden Sunday, paths winding through cork oaks like veins of earth. At the summit, overlooking the sprawl saffron spires to sapphire sea, Isabel stops, turning to me with that crinkle-eyed smile reborn. "Alex Rivera," she says, formal as our wedding day. "Will you rewrite this with me? No clauses, no ghosts, just us." Heart full, I drop to one knee, not proposal but pledge. "Yes. Verdad y amor. Forever." She pulls me up, our embrace fierce against the wind, the city a canvas below for our next chapter. But humanism tempers joy. We visit Isabel's grave in Montjuic Cemetery, a simple stone amid cypresses, engraved Periodistavelian Truth's flame. Isabel lays wildflowers, lavender from the hills, whispering, "Rest now. We're carrying the light." I add a pebble from the beach, Bay Area smooth. For the story's unfinished. Thank you for showing us how to fall and rise. As leaves turn amber, life layers on. A book deal for the series talks of returning stateside for family. My abuela's 90th in Oakland, her Hamptons clan for Thanksgiving. Barcelona fades not to memory but foundation, the city that broke and bound us. One evening as we cook fideuà in the kitchen, saffron threads like golden threads of fate, Isabel pauses, stirring the pot. "Do you believe in second acts?" I taste the broth, savory with sea. "In journalism? Always. In love? Absolutely." She smiles, the locket catching light. And in that moment, betrayal's sting dissolves to wisdom's warmth. Winter circles back, but softer now. Barcelona's Christmas lights a garland on our renewed vows. We renew them quietly, no fanfare. Just a notary in the Bari Gothic. Rings re-exchanged with engravings deepened. Verdad, amor, resiliencia. Dr. Elena toasts with cava at a post-ceremony lunch in her garden. Succulents nodding approval. "You've authored a narrative of grace," she says. "Human, hence heroic. Work thrives, the book. Shadows on the story. A journalist's reckoning. Climbs indie lists, proceeds funding scholarships at the youth center." Sophia edits the foreword. Her stutter silenced by prose polished bright. "For girls like us," she writes. "Proving love's the biggest scoop. Personally, fractures heal to filigree." Isabel wears the locket openly now. A talisman not of loss but legacy. Isabel's gift woven into our tapestry. Nightmares recede, instead dreams of futures shared. A puppy from the shelter, wiry-haired like a Catalan sheepdog, named Veritas. Hikes in the Pyrenees, her laughter echoing off peaks. Quiet evenings fact-checking each other's novels, passions pivoting from news to narrative. Yet drama lingers, life's unscripted edge. A letter from Elena arrives in spring. Isabel's estate settled, a bequest. Shares in a Priorat vineyard, irony's vintage. She invested in truths, Elena notes. Plant some for her. We do weekend trip to the slopes, soil rich under our hands as we stake vines. Isabel kneels, dirt-streaked, hazel eyes alight. To roots, she toasts with vineyard red. And branches unbound. I clink, green eyes mirroring. To growth from the fall. Betrayal's echo? Faint now, a bass note in our harmony. We discuss it openly, over therapy check-ins or morning cafes con leche. "It taught me boundaries," Isabel says one dawn, steam curling like confessions. "And you, trust's not blind but brave." Humanism anchors us. Community threads. We host a queer-lit salon in the apartment, expats and locals mingling over tapas and tales. Sappho's fragments to Audre Lorde's fire. One night, a poet from Valencia recites on lost loves reclaimed. Isabel squeezes my hand, the scar on her arm a map of mending. Climax resolves not in thunder, but thunderclaps afterglow. Summer solstice finds us on that fateful rooftop, not the newsrooms but a private one in Gracia, friends gathered for a sunset vigil. Candles flicker against the parapet, faces aglow. Riley with her camera, Sophia shyly toasting marshmallows, Dr. Elena dispensing kava wisdom. Isabel speaks first, voice carrying over the hum. 2 years ago, loss leapt from heights like this. Tonight we honor it, not with grief but gratitude. For Isabel, who taught us truth's cost. For Alex, who held the line. Applause ripples, I rise, pulling her close. And for us, all of us, proof that from betrayal's brink we build bridges. The sun dips, painting the med molten, and in the hush we release lanterns, paper prayers ascending, embers tracing arcs of absolution. As autumn wanes, we pack for Oakland, visiting roots before planting new. Abuela embraces Isabel like a daughter long lost. Her tamales a sacrament. You fought for amor, she says, patting my cheek. That's the real story. Back in Barcelona by Yule, snow dusting the spires rare and wondrous, we curl by the fire, Veritas at our feet, journal open to blank pages. What's next? Isabel asks, head on my lap. I smile, fingers in her waves. The human beat. Love's endless edition. Years fold like well-worn notebooks. The book tours, the vineyard's first harvest, a bold tempranillo we label Luz Eterna. Sophia's graduation speech crediting the wives who wrote my courage. We adopt a second dog, a rescue mutt named Echo, and talk of little ones, fostering perhaps hearts adrift like we'd been. Betrayal? A chapter closed, its lessons illuminated. In quiet moments, Isabel whispers thanks to the locket. I to the scars that mapped our way. Barcelona endures, our witness city. From rooftops rupture to renewal's rise. And we, two women forged in American fire, tempered by Spanish sea, pen the tale onward, dramatic, emotional, romantic, raw. In the end, it's not happy or tragic, but whole. A life reported, relished, redeemed.